The moment my mother died, I began to realize that little kid who was caretaking his mother was still there. He's not crying out for help, it's more like a whisper. You need to help me on this new journey of yours. You need to reconcile that child with the man. Every time. Some people would say to me, how do you have the kind of trauma that you had with your mom and dad, that you saw your mom endure at the hands of your father, and forgive the man? How do you do that? My first memory as a child is my father jumping off the couch, and he pinned my mother to the floor and he beat her unmercifully. I watched my mom fight back. She got him off of her and she came immediately to me. She scooped me up. And I remember crying and crying and crying, and she eased me. She had a little care for herself. It was all for me. And that set off our journey together. It was this terrible cycle of sobriety and drunkenness and violence and peace. And we'd have just enough peace to think the violence is not coming back, but it does. I was my mother's caretaker. I was the man in my mother's life when my father failed to be. When I was 17 years old, I'd seen way too much. Something had to be done. I remember this enormous sense of peace being out of that house. It's like the weight of the world came off, and I was not going back. He detected that I was gone, and he finally woke up. He finally hit bottom. And that set off a recovery for my dad and a reconciliation for my parents that was absolutely beautiful. The latter third of my parents' marriage, their life together, was complete beauty. The alcoholic's recovery doesn't lead to an automatic recovery for the family member. The family gets sicker than the addict, and I was one of those family members. When you have these memories of trauma in childhood, you recognize that that child is still within you. That child still exists. So what you do as a grown man is you go and you scoop that inner child up. You remind that child, I'm your sanctuary. All of that is dead and gone. You don't have to live in it anymore. And I did not come to that realization on my own. I came to that realization at the hands of a really good therapist.
I got connected with Michael through Spring Health's Care Navigator. As kids and as young as we can go back, we usually have memories that at times can be traumatic, where past events become present in our everyday lives and other relationships. Those are the things that Michael and I have been working on and being able to try to establish what his core belief system is.
I knew very early on, this man is caring, he's understanding, and he is wiser about what's going on with me than I am. And when you have that, you have an antidote. Grief is a patient beast. Time doesn't heal it, change heals it. And it takes a gifted therapist, I think, to help someone make that change. My mom died at 5 till 1 in the morning, September 6, 2020. I smiled in my heartbreak because she was finally at peace. We wrapped her, we picked her up, and we carried her out together. The end, the beginning. The end of so much of the caretaking that my mother never wanted me to have to do. And the beginning of me. The beginning of self-care of Michael. There at 3:30 in the morning. Dawn came a little early that day. I think my father is looking down on me right now, and he sees a man he's proud of, the man he wishes he had been for his own son. I hear the whisper of my dad saying, you take care of that little kid. You take care of him now.